Can paternity be challenged even after the court has already ordered support? It's an interesting question. My name is Goldman. I'm the director and founder of Goldman & Associates. Our firm is a primary focus on family law issues here in Michigan. And today we're continuing our video series designed to educate and inform the public. So please subscribe to our channel. You know, normally the court orders child support once it determines who the father is. Every now and then it's done by default, or it's done without the father's input. And, you know, you find yourself on the business end of an order to pay support for a child you don't even believe is yours. Well, if that's the case, you have remedies, but you got to act on them fast. If you don't act on it to challenge paternity within 3 years, you're going to have some significant hurdles, because generally speaking, you can't challenge paternity once 3 years passes. There are some limited exceptions that might work, but it's very, very challenging. Within the first 3 years, you've got a much better chance. So you've got to act quickly. If there's a support order that comes out of the blue, you're served with it, you didn't even know you had a kid. You got to get with the lawyer immediately. Challenge that order. File a petition to determine paternity, or what we call a DP case. Determine that paternity, get DNA testing done to determine whether or not you're the father. And if you're the father, then, because this was probably done without your knowledge, you got to weigh in on the factors that are relevant to support. How much money do you make? How much money does she make? How often do you see the child? You'll find that the more time you spend with the child, the lower the support. The less time you spend, the higher the support. Why? Because the more burden you put on the other parent by not seeing your kid, the more it costs the other parent, the more consumption there is. And to compensate for that consumption, you're being asked to pay for it. Why? Because it's your kid. So you got to realize that. Another thing you got to look at is, how much money did they presume I was making? Maybe they presume you're making $50,000 a year when you only make $35,000. You got to be on top of that to get numbers that are appropriate and fair and make sense, assuming from the first shot that it's even your child. So that's the first thing you got to determine. There are obviously complicated rules about this, and there are consequences one way or another. Obviously, it's a very serious situation. If you have questions about your case, reach out. Do it sooner rather than later, and we'll be glad to help you out.
248-588